Before the spotlight and the flashing No Limit tank logos, there was a group from Richmond, California, blending smooth R&B, streetwise hip-hop, and just enough funk to keep it moving. They called themselves Sons of Funk. Their time in the national spotlight didn't last long, but the imprint they made still lingers. The group was made up of G Smooth, Des Dynamic, Rico Crowder, and Zoe. They grew up surrounded by the sounds of soul, gospel, and West Coast rhythm. Richmond wasn't a city known for producing big R&B acts, but that gave the group their edge. Every note, every hook was a product of determination and hustle. They weren't manufactured. They were homegrown. By the mid-1990s, hip-hop was dominating radio, and R&B was shifting. Groups like Jodeci and Dru Hill were giving soul music a harder edge. Master P saw an opening. With No Limit Records exploding onto the scene, he wanted to expand beyond rap into R&B, to make the label a one-stop shop for everything. Sons of Funk fit the vision. They had the look, the harmonies, and they could produce their own tracks. Signing with No Limit gave them a platform and a family to build with. Their first big break came in 1997 with Pushin' Inside You. The track was featured on Master P's I'm 'Bout It soundtrack, and it slid onto the charts. It was slow, sensual, and soulful, balancing the grit of No Limit with a classic R&B groove. For a debut, it was the perfect calling card, enough to turn heads and get people asking, who are these guys? In 1998, Sons of Funk dropped their debut album, The Game of Funk. It was produced by the group themselves alongside No Limit's in-house heavyweights. Executive producer Master P made sure the project had that No Limit stamp, big features, tight beats, and cross-promotion with the label's growing empire. The album mixed smooth ballads with funky mid-tempos and hip-hop flavored cuts. Master P and Silk the Shocker showed up for guest spots, while Sons of Funk delivered the harmonies that tied everything together. The project made it to 44 on the Billboard 200 and climbed even higher on the R&B hip-hop charts. A solid debut in a crowded era. 2 songs defined their run. Pushin' Inside You was their first single, a track that carried them into radio rotations and gave them credibility as R&B newcomers. But I Got the Hookup took things further. Released as part of Master P's movie soundtrack, the song blended Sons of Funk's smooth vocals with No Limit street presence. It climbed to number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold enough to go gold. That moment put them in living rooms across the country, from MTV to BET, and for a flash, Sons of Funk had arrived. But success in music is fragile. By the end of the 90s, tastes were changing fast. Hip-hop was evolving, R&B was splitting into different directions, and No Limit itself was beginning to lose momentum after years of dominance. For a group like Sons of Funk, who thrived on that connection to the label, it meant the spotlight faded almost as quickly as it arrived. After their debut, the group stepped back. Lineups shifted, the industry moved on, and their presence on the charts disappeared. Still, the members didn't lose their craft. Behind the scenes, they worked as songwriters and producers, contributing to other projects. And for fans who still held on to their records and memories, Sons of Funk remained a piece of the golden No Limit era, a reminder that the label wasn't just about rap, it had soul too. Fast forward more than a decade. In 2014, Sons of Funk decided it was time to return. In 2015, they released The Lost Files, Volume 1. The project wasn't about competing with the latest trends. It was about reclaiming their voice, reconnecting with fans, and adding another chapter to their story. Singles like Inside of You showed that their harmonies and songwriting still had that spark. The comeback wasn't about chart positions. It was about legacy. Looking back, what made Sons of Funk stand out wasn't just their connection to No Limit, but their versatility. They weren't content to be just singers laid over someone else's beats. They produced, arranged, and built songs from the ground up. That gave their music a deeper authenticity. Their style blended the sensuality of classic R&B, the rawness of funk, and the street flavor of hip-hop. It was a sound that could only have come out of the late 90s. Their legacy is quieter than some of their peers, but no less real. Tracks like Pushin' Inside You and I Got the Hookup are time capsules of an era when R&B and hip-hop were colliding in new ways. Their music still gets rediscovered on streaming platforms, sampled by new artists, and remembered by fans who grew up with the No Limit movement. And even if they never became household names like some of their label mates, Sons of Funk brought balance to No Limit's catalog. They gave the Empire a softer, smoother side, proof that even in the middle of a hard-edged rap takeover, soul still had a place. So when you revisit their songs, you're not just hearing a group, you're hearing a moment in time. You're hearing the Bay Area hustle meet the No Limit machine. You're hearing the blend of soul and street that made the late 90s unforgettable. Sons of Funk might not be the biggest name in R&B history, but their story shows how even short bursts of success can ripple for decades. Their music still lives, their fans still remember, and their harmonies still hit. If you felt that groove, if you caught that late 90s vibe, then you already know what to do. Hit that like, smash subscribe, and keep the funk alive.